We're live. It's a Stardock stream. I'm Adam. That's Scott.
Hi.
Scott is on the stream for the first time. How exciting is that?
It's so exciting.
And my mic is too hot. Sorry about that. So we are streaming Sorcerer King today, as I guess not necessarily as usual, but as is the new usual for us. It was just announced last week. This is our first regular Wednesday stream. We had a Thursday stream last week because that's the day that we announced it. But Sorcerer King, if you're new 4X asymmetrical fantasy game from Stardock. We were very excited about it. And we are showing off the latest internal build, which has a bunch of stuff that you guys have not seen, theoretically. And Scott can walk you through that to some extent here.
Absolutely.
So wave to the camera, Scott, because I'm going to kill the camera because I hate the camera angle. Perfect. I hate it.
Okay. So here we're playing the internal build of Sorcerer King. This will be going up tomorrow for the public. You have to opt in through Steam.
Oh, I didn't realize we were putting this up as a opt-in tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Tons of bug fixes. Just a lot of low-hanging fruit that we were able to knock out, as well as some bigger things. We're getting some performance issues on certain video cards. We talked to Intel. They were really, really helpful in figuring out some key bottlenecks. Let's see. There was a terrain issue where basically if the map wasn't created right on our end, if we drew it wrong, then it would be using a higher version of the shader than it needed to. So we went through and fixed all those wrong tiles. Like, it was the silliest stuff that would cause drastic slowdown. So hopefully everybody that was having I'm sorry, I'm not playing. I'm talking.
It's
now
a
I know
tough
how
skill.
Paul,
I know.
whenever I'm watching Paul on Gale Civ, like, keep playing, man. Okay. So hopefully slowdown issues will be dealt with. I want to cast more spells. Okay, so let's see. I got a list right here, actually. So we have one of the things that people were talking about was there's a lot of concern over the Doomsday counter right now. This is something that hasn't really been done before. Well, at least not on the 4X side. But putting that hard turn limit has always been something that we would discuss internally, whether or not people are going to like it. And a lot of people like it, but a lot of people are afraid that it's going to kind of neuter the fun in late game, where suddenly your turns are running low and you're just screwed. That's no fun. So we did put in just a spell, 100 mana. If you're sitting on enough mana, you can bring that Doomsday counter down. Already you can do it through spells, and we're just going to keep adding to the options when it comes to using that Doomsday counter, not as, don't think of it as a time limit, but almost as the key resource of the game, or one of the main resources that you can kind of play with. In the way that you play, that number is going to fluctuate a little bit.
Yeah, one of the things about the Doomsday counter, excuse me, like you said, not a lot of people, but a fair number of people were concerned about kind of just feeling stressed out and feeling pressured all the time.
Absolutely.
Which is not something you necessarily want all the time when you're playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
And we get that. At the same time, you are supposed to be under some amount of pressure because, you have to be able to lose, right? Mm-hmm. Part of that is just picking the right difficulty for yourself. Easy difficulty should be pretty easy.
Yeah.
I would imagine. And so if you just want to explore the game and check out, different builds or whatever, certainly that is available to you. But the larger thing is just to think of the Doomsday counter more not as a clock necessarily, but as kind of a seesaw to some extent. Yes, it's going to go up over the course of the game, but you have some options definitely to try to bring it down. Like if you are doing your quests, right? You're going and doing the adventure locations and stuff. Are you just gonna go get that Pioneer kill?
No, I'm trying. Come on.
Jeez.
You have cheats on, right? I can use cheats in these.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'll try not to.
I'm just kind of embarrassed
legit.
for you.
Did you see the stream where I've seen a lot of streams where people agree to be the slave, and it's quite funny because they I wonder what this option is. Oh, it ends the game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Brad did that on the first stream. So that was excellent.
Brad, you coded that.
But Brad's so proud of it too. He's
know.
so amused.
I
by
know.
it. Cracks me up. But anyway, my point is, like, if you have, try not to. Oh, are you gonna?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm
All
fine.
right.
I'm fine. 2 spells.
All right. Sorry, I'm actually watching it on effectively the tape delay through my Twitch dashboard here. So anyway, the point is you have so like if you resolve your option or your quests in nicer ways, in ways that are kind of more altruistic, you'll be able to get some Doomsday counter bonuses there as well.
Yep.
So we definitely try to give you some tools there, and I mean the very explicit. Spell for reduced Doomsday counter.
Yeah, and there's something that I really love about the explicitness of the Doomsday counter itself, where other games, you're effectively up against a timer. You're up against these other nations that are building up, and you may have lost 60 turns ago. You may just not know it. And this kind of gives a nice, it kind of underscores, I don't know, the tension. It brings the tension and that sort of thing to the forefront.
Sure. So we got a couple questions in the chat already, which is great. Eddie UK is asking about how you kind of choose your hero. So we can run through that real quick. You basically, well, for currently in beta 1, all you can play is the wizard,
correct,
the prefab wizard.
Yep.
Later we're gonna have 8 hero types, I think, or sovereign types.
We're going to have
six
sovereign types that will play drastically different based on
different units, different spells, different abilities.
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
We did a powwow we got this giant list of 150 different ability ideas that we're just trying to sort out into the different trees right now. You'll be getting in beta 2, I think that Brad put this on the roadmap, you'll be getting the priest, the guardian, and
we are
the
getting
warrior.
some more in beta 2. Excellent.
In beta,
Excellent.
in beta 2, so sometime in November. Those will come with new units, new city building options, new spells.
So you'll see a lot of the sort of replayability at that point.
Yeah,
and I believe we're adding more maps to beta 2 as well.
Oh yeah.
So you won't be stuck on the 4 that you have
yeah.
now.
Yeah, we'll be at that point. Boats will be in. So going out and I'll keep playing. I'm sorry.
That's a good idea. Is one of the characters a necromancer? I don't believe we have a necromancer.
No,
there are necromancy spells. There's raised skeleton, skeletal army, and stuff like that.
And what you'll find is if there's anything that kind of gets a little too dark, that's another place where we get to use the Doomsday counter. Where
True.
we go, we get to beef that spell up. So when you raise this zombie horde, we can make that all the more awesome because we make the trade-off a little bit steeper than just mana cost.
Right. Let's see. We had design question. Oh, so anyway, sorry. I didn't even talk about customizing your sovereign, which is another thing that you can do.
Okay.
Once that goes in, you'll be able to pick your spell books, which will affect what spells come up in your research, which are like destruction spells. I don't even remember what the different
Wrath,
classes.
Chaos.
Okay.
The enchantment, obviously, and then summoning.
Great. So you'll be able to pick those and kind of weight your spell selection that way. And it's still random when you get to research, but you'll have a little bit of a you can kind of choose the direction that way.
Yeah.
And then choose your special ability as well, your super ability. So you'll be able to customize your sovereign as well. Let's see. Why can't we queue production? That's an excellent question, Scott. Why can't we queue production?
Oh golly, this is even in turn. A lot of the. So let me take a step back. One of the frustrating things about last week, we put the game out, and a lot of people were asking how it's different than FE.
Yes,
and
that's Fallen Enchantress.
Fallen Enchantress and Legendary Heroes, and there's a lot of little changes that get made throughout the course of development that we pain over and we fight over. And this is one of those changes where it's like you can't change that. You can't force somebody to go back to the city every single time. You should be able to queue that up.
So you're saying it's a fight that is ongoing, or is it?
I'm saying
it's a fight that has at least happened.
And it's happened. I think that we're all in agreement that this way, with a queue, the inherent problem is queue management.
Right.
So I build up this giant queue of, I know what I want to do. Everything's okay. Then suddenly my shards are being attacked, and I got to change got to change over. You're going to have to wipe that down or manage stuff. It was just a lot of extra management that we felt that we could streamline, in association with the John Schaefer button.
Right.
Where it's like, okay, you never have to worry about a city not producing something.
True. True. For my part, I don't mind not having a queue in Sorcerer King because cities are very streamlined, which can be kind of a dirty word sometimes in strategy gaming. So I don't want to. I mean that in a good way.
Yes.
Well, I don't even know what the heck you're doing in this battle. Your tactics are madness to me. But anyway, Kale's gonna get owned. Kale always gets owned. He's like the poor mascot of the game. I think we need to get Buckles to write him a good eulogy. I think that would be amusing. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. You need to get out of there.
Because you're gonna haste him. What is? Jeez. You make it. Anyway,
it'll be okay.
So because your cities are so streamlined, we don't want you to spend a ton of time messing around in the city screen. Like that's just not what Sorcerer King is about, right? It's not about a civilization level of like really meticulously planning your cities and making sure, okay, this is my science city, so I'm going to settle it. And I'm going to have jungles and all that kind of stuff. Like Sorcerer King is about recruiting allies. Yeah. And going and defending shards and like going and doing some of those other things that aren't that hopefully are more fun, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. What I like to, anytime we're at the starting stage of any 4X game, not that we've made a lot, but whenever you're at the starting stage, I like to think of the 4Xs as giving you those basic design pillars. Okay, I did die. But basically giving you those design pillars that you can play with independently to kind of give the flavor to that game. So you can see where exploration is huge here, but diplomacy is a little bit toned down. We've moved away from the big diplomacy of like Gal Civ and Civ, and we made it a little bit more RPG. I'll get there. I'll get to a point where I can talk and do this at the same time.
I'm just laughing. I love the spending your mana to haste Kale to run him
dead.
Away so he dies anyway.
I forgot how fast there was a time where these horses would move like 2. That strategy once worked. But anyways, so here, with Sorcerer King, we get to figure out which of those columns we want to bolster, which one of those columns we want to kind of tone back. And so warfare, the exterminate side of things, every unit's going to have tons of abilities. We're going to have a lot of different, holy cow, a lot of different stuff going on the warfare side, a lot of cool stuff going on the exploration side. And the civilization side kind of takes a little bit of a back seat. I
think one of the things that I've long been a proponent of in game design, and certainly something that Stardock in general is very aware of, I know Derek talks about it a lot, is really thinking about how much player headspace you're taking up with stuff. Like we can layer on systems and systems and systems and systems until we're making Europa Universalis, which is a great game.
Oh, it's so tempting to do. I mean,
right? As a designer, it's like, I have this great idea. We can do a great idea, and it's like almost remove it, like holding back on some of that is almost more important. It can be more important in some ways.
When me, Brad, and Paul get together, like no idea is a bad idea. Mostly if we go out to Logan's and have a couple of drinks, it's like, oh man, we got, here's 5 pages of design, and Derek kind of has to.
I can just see Derek's face, like trying to read through the cocktail napkins. That's great. Yeah. All right. So
I'm so sorry, you guys. This is not a very interesting game.
Yes, but I get to make fun of you. I get to make fun of you, and that helps. So let's see. Jerkesh has a great question. What's in store for city management? Current system is too streamlined and offers no specialization or real choices. Are you thinking about some building paths, exclusive buildings, wonders, etc.? And we kind of talked about that here. One of the things I think that people are going to find is that you are going to want to specialize your cities to some extent, just for the fact that like you're definitely not going to build everything everywhere because you just don't have time, and your cities need to be cranking out dudes, and so you're going to want to deal with that to some extent.
Yeah. I'm sorry. There was one of the things that got added this week, I thought it got added, was a Pioneer attack animation. She should have been able to attack. That is why I was clicking and trying to defeat the bandit. But yeah, you'll be getting a lot of city specialization through the sovereigns.
Right.
It's basically you can almost think of the sovereign skill tree as the old tech tree. You know, a tech tree from another game would be the sovereign skill tree here. So that's where you're going to unlock a lot of really cool stuff that can specialize, wonders, one-off things that really help you.
Definitely. Let's see. You had a great question from Trooper 170. Do you guys feel that Warlock and Warlock 2 are competitors, or do you feel like you have separated yourself enough from other games in the genre to set yourself apart? That's, Scott talked a little bit about that, that we've been really, trying to make sure that the ways that in which Sorcerer King is different from other games are communicated to people.
Yeah.
And one of our problems is that it doesn't really come across in the first, half hour of gameplay right now. Mm-hmm. That's one of our biggest problems. And I think that's a lesson that we really learned, I think, from the Sorcerer King launch last week, which is that we need to make sure that we get that in front of people so that they see it. Because it's frustrating for us because it's like, we know the differences are there, but we see all these comments online, of people being like, oh, this just looks just like FE, or this, why would I buy this? I already have legendary heroes, that kind of thing. It's like, but if you play it, you'll see that it's different because you're really doing different things. Mm-hmm. You're really defending shards and managing the map in a much different way than you do in LH. It's not about, in a game like Civilization or Fallen Enchantress or Warlock or any 4X really. Generally, you kind of have those discrete phases of the game, right? You have you're going to explore, and then you have the big settling boom, and then your borders start to butt up against people, and then you fight, and then you roll into the end game of people racing for different victory conditions. And anybody who plays a lot of 4X is pretty familiar with those kind of general phases that each game goes through. Sorcerer King doesn't really go through those phases so much. And not to say that it doesn't change to some extent in the course of a playthrough, but it's not as much about like, oh, I need to go grab more land before the other guy does, and like, and make sure I'm boosting my economy here. No. You're really fighting different battles and dealing with different challenges, even though the tools are kind of the same. Like, you're still recruiting dudes and building pioneers and fighting monsters and stuff.
The gameplay language is that of a 4X, but what you're actually accomplishing is a little bit different. One thing that I haven't seen anybody talk about on our end that I'm really excited about is there's a problem in 4X games, or at least every single game that I've ever played, be it Civilization or Galciv or whatever. I will win a game, and I will come to realize that victory, I really won an hour ago.
Right.
Where there was this giant battle, and then there were a couple other little battles, but that's really where the tide turned. And so 4X tends to be more about these grand sweeping tides.
Yes.
Whereas this, we have that punctuation of, here's the Sorcerer King, you go and defeat him, and when you defeat him, you win. And it's like that build-up. There's a lot of design philosophy about building up that tension, right? You want to build up and release tension, and then gradually, get to the end.
Which is one of the great things about the way that Sorcerer King works in being asymmetrical and not having a bunch of symmetrical rivals kind of all going for the same goals, is that we have a lot of knobs that we can play with to affect that pacing in a way that in Legendary Heroes, for example, would feel extremely artificial and super weird if we had a game director that said like, oh, well, the player's doing too well, so we're going to spawn a bunch of free armies.
Feels like cheating.
It would be cheating then, because that's the expectation.
Yeah.
Whereas like the Sorcerer King has effectively, in game terms, the idea is that he basically has infinite resources. Mm-hmm. Like he doesn't care about...
No one's about it. He is going to do whatever it takes.
Right.
Well, once he realizes that you're a threat.
And so doing some of that kind of stuff is really the hope. And a lot of that is tied... a lot of what makes Sorcerer King different, unfortunately, is kind of tied to that pacing and to that that sort of balancing and tweaking, and a lot of that. I mean, that's what we're doing early access for, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like we need you guys to play
Absolutely.
and tell us what you think, and tell us how it feels and how the pacing and the balancing feels, so that we can adjust that. I mean, that is the point. This is a gameplay beta. This is not, oh God, we're running out of money, we need to go to early access. Sorcerer King is fully funded. Like, this game is happening. Like, this is not Kickstarter. You know, Stardock is getting it done. It's just a matter of, like, we approach it a lot more as a traditional beta, I guess, rather than like some of the unfortunate things that have happened, I guess we'll say, recently in early access. I know there's a lot of, it's tough because there's a lot of very justified reticence among players.
What did I just put my money? Yeah, I install this. I go, this isn't what I was sold, and
right.
I personally enjoy being part of the process. So it does take a special type of person to load it up and manage those expectations themselves.
Right.
Because you have to market it in order to sell the copies. You got to market it up, and then I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to hear feedback because. That it'll be really exciting to see how the game, how games change based on like what minor races you ally with, and even
what spawns on the map. Because I mean, a lot of people, I pretty much always play on random maps.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't even have random maps in yet.
Once it's random, I mean, we can do all kinds of crazy stuff where every world feels different, every encounter is going to feel different, and I'm just really excited.
Let's see. How different will the game feel as a result of different sovereigns? We talked about that a little bit already. I mean, it should, if we do our jobs right, it should feel very, very different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally...
Sovereigns will have weaknesses. So you pick a warrior, he's not going to, he's not going to be as good of a caster. You're going to have to adjust your play style to make sure that your cities are putting out powerful units, and you can't rely on your spell book as much as the wizard obviously does. Or the tinker, all about crafting, going out there and getting those resources and making sure. And
you'll be having literally different units, I mean, I don't know about different buildings, but for sure.
Different improvements.
Okay. Sweet.
So your cities will be different, and
so hopefully pretty different, I guess, is the question. As different as we can make them.
I mean, the lists of abilities that I'm seeing, the variation gets me really excited about how wildly we can swing gameplay based on those.
And one of the good things about the Sorcerer King design is, and Brad has been very vocal about this internally. I don't know if he talked about it on the stream last week. I don't remember. But is that we can make stuff super overpowered. Mm-hmm. Like it's stuff that would be ridiculously overpowered in a traditional game, and we can put that in because the Sorcerer King himself is super overpowered. So like you need to be able to do some unfair things of your own, right? Yes. And so we can really kind of have some fun as designers and make stuff that feels really cool and different.
And we've tried to underscore that with like Tandis. He starts off with Smite, or he starts off with Smite, which doubles your attack in a single blow, and then Sweep. And those are two, if I was playing another tactics game, I would expect to get those, those are mid-game, you would be getting them right off the bat.
You would never, if somebody said, hey, I want to add this hero to LH and give him Smite and Sweep at first level, right? I'd be like, you can't do that. But here it's like
the only unit you would use.
Right. So
it's been fun balancing, keeping that in mind, like ratcheting things up to say, okay, this is after all this stuff has already happened, so we can play with the balance in a really fun and exciting new way.
Are there various races, or are you just human? You do play as the humans. There will be a bunch of different minors, which are relatively interesting. They're there's some
giants,
monstrous,
you have some monstrous ones.
And dwarves and elves and I don't know about elves.
Not elves. Sorry. You do have dwarves. There's a like an evil yeti race out there, but it's not here are the blue humans. Here are the like we did a lot of work to differentiate all those.
Which was one of the problems with
last week
in, for example, LH. because we had designable units, right?
Yeah.
We had to make sure a sword could be held by every model and all that kind of stuff. And so it made it really hard to artistically differentiate those things. Yeah. Whereas now, because the units are set, and you still have a lot of room to customize them by equipping them.
Oh yeah.
But
it's Stalker. It's
so anyway, so artistically we have a lot more room to sort of make the different races look very different.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Let's see. As well as a campaign, will there be a skirmish game? Yes, there will be a campaign. There will be random maps. There will be set maps. You can make your own maps. Blah blah blah. Absolutely, all that stuff. I had some questions about the map and the map seeming kind of cheery for a world that's gotten its face kicked in pretty well by the evil overlord.
Yeah, it's one of those things when you're because me and Brad were the ones in charge of making the maps, and it's really. I don't know. It's really hard not to go down the cheery route, and we're going to have to go back, and that's one of the things that we will have to restrain ourselves on going forward, making sure that it feels like this is,
right.
a fairly cataclysmic event has occurred.
And that's just kind of the tightrope that we have to walk in general with SK is that, like, in the fiction, it's pretty dire, right? Like, the bad guy's one, he's going to destroy the world and become an evil god, blah, blah, blah. But then, like, the tone of a lot of the game and a lot of the art is a little bit. It's not as taking itself seriously.
It's a little bit lighter,
right? And so for us, it's really kind of trying to strike that balance between.
I'm done.
Okay. Dude, stalkers are so overpowered. We need to fix that.
Yeah, I talked to Derek about that yesterday.
We need to fix that so bad. It drives me nuts.
We're just ripping them out.
Are you just taking them out?
Yeah. First thing, I go downstairs in the editor. Stalkers.
Yeah. So I saw some complaints about the overpoweredness of stalkers.
The problem with stalkers, and I was actually talking to Derek. I was talking to Derek about this, and Maul was given to bears. Maul,
right?
And it's really cool when you have this slow-moving, lumbering guy coming closer and closer, and it's like I gotta take him out before he gets next to me because he's gonna wreck me. Stalkers are so dang fast that
they're up in your grill right away.
You start up the bat on it. All right, I'm dead.
So yes, don't have no fear. Maul and/or stalkers will be nerfed. We know it's early access. It's beta.
You promised me cheats.
Oh, are there not cheats? I'm sorry, there should be.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Learn how to cheat at your own game, Scott. Jeez.
Okay. This guy's going to go die.
So that's how you nerf stalkers in a dynamic fashion. Let's see. Is the crafting going to reflect what the player wants to craft? For example, buying some missing ingredients rather than being fully at the mercy of the RNG.
The random number.
And that's definitely something that we think about.
It's absolutely top on our priority list. You'll notice that you can go to Warlock huts now, and a lot of them will give you the option of quote unquote get the item that you came here for, and then that allows you to kind of pick and choose what loot you get out of it. Mm-hmm. The Tinker will have a whole lot of options when it comes to wanting to gather up as much loot and be a little bit more selective about the loot that you get. But yeah, it's I've seen spells in some of the ideas that we've been throwing around. Different spells, different quests, It's a lot of different ways too, and there's a lot of different ways to deal with it. But you don't want to. You don't want to like pepper everything with loot,
right?
So you kind of have to be selective.
Part of it too is that I'm always a fan of mechanics that, at least to some extent, kind of make you play the hand that you're dealt, right? Like, I mean, playing cards have been around forever, and that's just a really strong game design element. As long as you have choices that you can still make with this somewhat random assortment of stuff that you've gotten, right? And so you don't want to just make it so that, like, okay, well, you can just spend mana to make up for whatever ingredient you don't have. Which is something that seems like an obvious solution, but then
all of a sudden that's all you're doing,
right? And that's all you're using your mana for, and you're not casting spells, and so it's a tough decision. I mean, I think that there's probably room for something, and I'm kind of speaking for Brad a little bit. Yeah, Brad will make those decisions, but
and that's where, like, I could see the Tinker having like a transmutation spell that where you get to pick what you get, or
That'd be cool.
there's or maybe one of the minor races if you're they tend to be the loot the guys that you get loot from, so you can go and talk to them and get specific stuff from them. So there's a lot of design possibility there.
Getting your archer shadow shifted sucks.
Yes. Did I? I gotta pay more attention.
Let's see. Sorry, I just saw a good question. Where'd it go? Sorry. Will we? Oh, there it is. Will we? Jeez. I'm gonna try that again. Will we be finding crafting recipes as loot? Don't you? I thought we did. I know we did in earlier betas. Did they all get ripped out of the loot table?
I don't think so. I think you should still be getting it. Maybe there's a bug that
there might be a bug, but you should be. That's definitely part of the part of the acquisition process. Is you find them, and then you can also build libraries and whatnot.
Or the recipes. We'll investigate.
So yeah,
you should.
Do you always start with Tandis?
Right now you do because you're always the wizard, but the thought there is different sovereigns would have different starting champions. So that would be one of the dials that we're playing with.
That would be one of the things I would love as being able to customize my sovereign and having my choice of who my starting dude is. Yeah.
But there's a matter of balancing the different heroes and making sure. I don't know. But I think that's the plan right now is. I've watched playthroughs as well where people get confused by they'll pick a sovereign and then they'll start up the game and there'll be this little warrior, and there's like a little bit of disconnect between, and it could be because I'm watching people who have played legendary heroes, but they go, oh, I thought I picked a wizard, but there's this warrior on the screen. So who am I? The question.
And for sure.
You are really you're definitely you're hanging back in the tower.
You're off map, as it were.
And so, so it'll be interesting to deal with that too. But there's solutions for a lot of this stuff that we have cooked up.
We had the question that has been all over everywhere. What did the devs feel make this game worth it to its consumers that is better, different or better or whatever than FE? I mean, I feel like we are just answering that question over and over and over, and I don't even know,
being able to have a 4X game that builds to a crescendo.
Yeah.
And all the different design possibilities that come out from, who you've allied with as a minor race. They can, once you're down to the last 5 turns, those minor races can see that, and suddenly they're sacrificing themselves to make sure you have a chance to save the world. And we can do, I don't know, you can do a lot of exciting things to bring the adventure to a satisfying conclusion, versus most 4X adventures. Again, that when I'm playing Civ,
it's over 50 turns before, or 100 turns,
and then
or
you're mopping up,
and
then we're dealing with the mop-up phase, and nobody likes the mop-up phase is surprisingly unsatisfying.
It's fun once in a while, but then once you've done it, it's like, okay, can I just win?
Just let me win.
And so one of the things that I always like to talk about, so forgive me that, but is Shogun 2. I think has one of the best 4X endgames, Total War Shogun 2. Because there's this whole realm divide mechanic. Once you get big enough, everybody else kind of starts to get really mad at you, and you have to push through to the end game to win. And it kind of changes the end game and gives you a new set of challenges. Sorcerer King, if we do our jobs right, Sorcerer King is like that all the time. There's different stuff happening and different events happening, and you need to attend to the problems and keep this guy from taking over the world. Not so much taking over the world as blowing up the world. Oh, boy. Anyway, sorry. Why do tactical maps have fake boundaries? You have flat sand terrain that you can't walk over. Because they have to be a size for decent gameplay, basically. It's just... it's a video game.
Oh, geez. Yeah, it's just coming up with an interesting... we'll have to make sure that we continue to iterate on the aesthetics of... those boundaries, and make sure that they don't feel like, what is it called? Glass walls or
invisible walls.
Invisible walls.
There we go. Totally. Let's see. Any chance to play as the bad guy? This comes up every time. It would be super neat, but
it It would be neat.
That's probably
He's
expansion
just
or
playing. I
something.
mean, he is just playing by such different rules.
Right.
That I don't even.
I mean, the whole game is built around the idea that the AI is doing this other thing and you're doing this thing, and it would be it's a really cool idea and something we think about, but I mean, certainly not for the base game.
Yeah.
It'd be
And
a
I
neat
think
expansion.
one of the minor races is based around the idea that there's a small group of defactors. So you may be able to maybe they tend to allow you Sorcerer King units and
sure.
a slightly different play style or different choices that are a little more in tune with a Sorcerer King way of doing things.
Sure.
But just picking between Wizard, Tinker, and Sorcerer King.
Sure.
I don't think that's in the plans.
Let's see. Will heroes always be found on the map like currently, or will they be found or recruited in other ways?
The plan is for them all to be found as they are currently. They're all quest driven. You can go in there. You'll be able to say, "Oh, this quest is too tough for me. I'll come back later," and it gives you it gives you something to look forward to. Another choice, another avenue to explore. Like, do I want to go and send my pioneer? Do I want to go settle this land, or do I want to go get that hero? And more choices, the more fun.
Totally. Let's see.
I hypnotized the Erkson.
Oh, excellent. Hypnotize is so terrible right now. Like, we need to fix that too. The success rate is so bad.
I think I had a 3-for-3 success rate in this game that I'm doing horribly on. So
yeah, I like Hypnotize because it feels really cool, but it's so expensive that it hurts so bad when you miss, and you miss all the freaking time.
Yeah. It is frustrating to spend that and spend a sovereign cast.
Yep.
That's actually the big one for me is, those sovereign casts, you only have so many in battle. Mostly when you start off, you have one opportunity. You got to make it count.
Right. And we need to get get it off the unit turns. That drives me nuts. How it takes a unit turn for the sovereign to cast it. It's the worst. Sorry. I love the game, but
you're attacking me. What did I sign up for?
So the stream is called Adam Makes Fun of Scott and his terrible gameplay.
And makes him cry.
That's right. I think we would get a lot of viewers for that, actually. But we'll do that later. Let's see.
Okay, I'm going to get the shard that I've been working towards.
Devil Dog, who's one of our regulars, who did a pretty cool Let's Play, which I think we've linked on Twitter and elsewhere, and it's definitely like on the Steam community. You should check that out. Anyway, he says implement the miners and people might start to see the bigger picture. He's absolutely right. I mean, the miners are such a big part of the gameplay, and they're just not in right now. And realistically, the problem is like we needed to get this out into early access, because if we did it in like November, the idea October was already late in the year, because like once those AAA games start coming out, nobody's spending. I mean, not that we need the money necessarily, but like we need Sorcerer King to not get completely bulldozed over by everything else.
We need eyeballs. We need people playing that we can bounce iteration off of.
Right.
Right. And so 4X lives and dies by its replayability. So.
Exactly. So it's just a little bit of kind of bad timing on our part a little bit, but at the same time, like, I mean, this is. I feel pretty good about where this is at in terms of early access. To be real,
needs to be fun, and I think that it is right now. It's just making sure that the second and third acts they sing, and then the first act is as polished as possible, so people get they know what's coming. They anticipate the greater things to
exactly. Show us the miners. We will very soon. I mean, I know. Even in internal, right now, I don't think we're going to get to it today, but I know that we've already got a lot more development of the minor races in. I don't know how much of that is going to make it into beta 2. Mm-hmm. I'd have to ask Chris, our producer, on that as far as what the production schedule is.
I can show that concept art.
You could totally show that concept art.
We have... Okay, who wants to... Type yes if you want to see some City Hub concept art for...
Or we'll just show you.
Yeah, or we'll just show you. Because this game. I'm just going to show you.
You're terrible at this game. You're even cheating, and you're still terrible at this game.
I'm learning. I'm learning. Okay.
No, it is tough to play and chat at the same time.
I want to give good.
I
want to give good, interesting answers.
I know. I have it easy. I gave myself the easy job because I just produced a thing, which basically means sitting over here and making sure Twitch doesn't explode. We have a whole bunch of yes in the chat.
Okay, so let's let's quit. I'll jump back in. We'll go into a different map. Okay, so Swamp Race. All right. So here we have.
If you just double click that, it'll full screen it.
Full screen. Excellent.
There you go. Oh God, virus protection is out of date. Oh my God.
No way. Okay. So Swamp. This is the Swamp City hub that Leo was working on. A lot of times with this, with art in a 4X game. Oh, is it coming through?
No, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
It's fine. Oh, for goodness sake. This is there.
There we go. Thank you.
So hey, I taught Scott how to double click on something.
So the Swamp Giants hub, basically these are the iterations that we went through. Worried that this blended in too much. This Aztec temple didn't feel gianty. This felt gianty, but maybe a little too nice. Maybe we'll use this for another minor faction. I think we were all really digging this, and then we ended up with this being the final concept for the Swamp Giants, and then cancel. And then for the Fire Guys, it'll be something like this. That's where the Keepers of the Flame will be located, and then we'll be working on the other miners going forward. So there's a little bit of concept art for you. Let me get back into the game.
Well, it's not even concept art. I mean, it's in-game assets.
Yeah. Oh, it's a lot of it. It's a lot of painted over stuff, but it's.
Oh, okay. Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
So yeah, we'll mock up. We'll get a screenshot of the game and kind of mock it up in there. But let's get back over to Steam.
Would you move? Oh God. Anyway, whatever.
Am I screwing up your stream?
You're screwing up everything. Jeez.
Oh my gosh. You and Paul make this look so easy.
Oh, we are so pro. We are so very pro. So yeah, so you can see on that previous screen, if you go back, I mean, you have all those different options. We're gonna have the customize button is grayed out. It will eventually not be grayed out.
Yes.
I'm guessing that's probably going to be beta 3.
I think so.
I believe is where that shows up.
Yeah.
Brad, who's the lead designer, has posted a development roadmap to the forums. So if you are interested, you can check that out. I don't have the link handy, but that's, as always, subject to change. But
I think random maps and customization are beta 3.
Yeah.
If I remember right.
So let's see. We had actually some questions from the forum that I wanted to get to as well. Let's see. Oh, we had some general topics of localizations. Right now, I don't believe we're planning on localizing to any other languages but English, unfortunately. Other OS versions, nope, this is a Windows game. Sorry. The ability to customize DSK, which actually is something that I want and I'm pushing for internally, just in terms of like giving him, saying like this is going to be a more aggressive or more magic focused or something like that.
Like a slider, maybe a series of AI type drop downs or something. But in general, I think that's something we kind of want to keep black box.
Is it? Okay.
Just where every game that way we can make sure that every game feels as different as possible and feels as reactionary. He's reacting to the choices and the actions that the player is making, opposed to, this is how SK always acts. You could see it
sure
getting very gamey, very
that's true.
predictable.
That's true. Yeah, somebody was laughing at the save game names in there. I'm kind of surprised that I didn't have anything vulgar, because I have terrible save game names.
Goddamn boy. SK is doing such and such. I hate that guy.
He is kind of a dick. Let's see. What does interaction diplomacy with the minor races entail? Are you receiving buffs from them, gifts, or do they become properly assimilated into your own empire?
Mostly gifts, and once you once you reach a conversation level with them where you're allied, then they will start giving you the option of free stuff.
Okay.
So it's less about, suddenly the city is part of your empire, and more, they remain a separate entity in the world.
Sure.
Which gives us some thematic play versus, here's another city, which I personally don't find as interesting. I know that it's nice to get something new that you can control, but we will give the player a lot of control over what they get from those races.
Sure. Do you think the Sorcerer King's lieutenants will ever be made visible? I made a post previously about how it can be difficult to hunt them down. That's an interesting question, especially on the big maps, because our maps get pretty freaking large.
Yeah, I know that one of the I don't see why we want there to be a wizard tech, or not a wizard tech, but a sovereign tech or a spell or something. There's got to be some sort of craftable or something where, listen, I just can't find these jerks.
Right. You see some sort of magical compass, something. Got to go find some redstone and put it together with some ore or whatever. Are there going to be any other lieutenants other than a whatever in ice dude and fire dude? I know we talked about it. I don't know if they're going in for base or not.
I don't know either. Sorry, guys.
So,
I wish.
It's a good question.
Yeah, we'll find out and get back to you
Eventually. Excellent. So that's Sorcerer King. We've been on for 45 minutes, and I think there's another engagement for this room. I think we have a remote interview that we need to give it up for.
Okay.
So
next time, I will be on my A game. No more of this cheating. We'll start a game and actually play it through, and try to play it through maybe multiple streams.
Yeah, I mean that's our
that's
kind of our idea. So next week, I mean, internal should be in an even better place next week, and so we can start up a game and actually play through the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And because these are smaller maps, it won't take us that long, hopefully, that many streams to actually get through. But just to kind of show and hopefully show people, hopefully answer that question of what makes us different from FE Absolutely. Or whatever. Because it is.
That arc is so important. I mean, that's what it comes down to for me, is that we have an interesting arc.
Right.
Whereas, said it before, 4X, the problem that I've always felt with 4X is that lull at the end.
Absolutely. So cool. Well, thank you all for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
It's been the Stardock streaming Sorcerer King. And you can get at us on Twitter, on Facebook, on our forums, on the Steam forums. We read all those things.
Update tomorrow.
Make
sure you are opted in.
Yes, so you have to right-click your game in Steam and go to properties and click betas and choose a different beta. So you'll be able to check this out yourselves. And that's about the word. Don't forget to come back for Galciv on Friday.
Oh, I'll be here.
We'll be showing.
I'll be watching.
Scott will be watching. We'll have Paul as usual. I'm actually going to be off the stream for a little bit. I have so I won't be in the office for a little while. So you're going to have I think Ray is going to be hosting. Okay. People who've watched Galciv know Ray. He's the producer on Galciv and also on another project that we haven't announced, which is exciting. And so you'll be getting some of that. And that's the deal. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you later on.
See ya.